Offseason is upon us. Now, admittedly, when I'm recording this, I don't know who's in the Super Bowl. Woo, what a wacky thing, huh? Wacky tobacco, because you know you're watching this and you know who's in there. Now, I got my thoughts on the matter, right? I got my thoughts. There's lots of conspiracy stuff about the script. Now, let me just say it. So the script, I don't know who won. The games have not been played when I'm recording this. We got the Chiefs playing the Ravens, and then we got the Lions playing the San Fran 49ers. And the rumor is, well, if you pay attention to the color scheme, right? We know about the color scheme conspiracy. It's been relatively accurate, which I don't know if with the Eagles year, it was kind of a teal-ish, maybe a sea foam, and it was the Eagles, so they're calling that green. I don't know, maybe. But if you look at the color scheme, which was changed mid-season, it's purple and reddish. So what would that lead you to believe? That the Niners aren't, or the Lions aren't purple or red, right? We know that. But the red is interesting because the Chiefs are red and the Niners are kind of red-ish, orangey, right? They're kind of, I guess they're red. The Niners are red. I got color issues. I think purples and pinks, and I have trouble with those. That's violet, they say. I say, no, it's pink. I don't know. So you got the red. It could pertain to the Chiefs or the Niners, but guess what? The conspiracies, the purple overrides because there is no other option for purple. So that knocks the Chiefs off, and that would mean that the Niners and Ravens are in. So let's see. Let's see if they're right. If it's the Niners and Ravens, which is, the truth is, it's likely, right? The Ravens are, I mean, they're looking pretty machine-like these days, right? Slow and steady. They look like they're going to, the Chiefs are kind of been hit or miss this year. They got the Taylor Swift effect, so who knows? Swifties. They got the energy of the Swifties. Real high-pitched screams. Maybe that'll help. But it's going to be interesting. So let's see. Let's see how that goes. You know how the last few years it's been, accurate-ish. So, hey, let's see. So that's, I think it's going to be the Lions. That's who I'm rooting for. Can you, as a Jets fan, even though I do have this little bit of kind of envy-ish, I have an envy thing, an envy obstacle. I don't want the other shitty teams to be better than us before us. Right? I like having misery. Misery loves company, and I like it. But, can you really root for the San Francisco 49ers to get in there yet again? Boo! So I'm rooting for the Lions, my wife's Ravens, and, done with the Chiefs. Let Lamar Jackson, right? So we'll do that whole thing. That's who I'm rooting for. Ravens, I want to see Ravens. Lions, and we'll see how that goes. But no matter how you slice it for us, we're looking at different stuff. Sure, we'll watch the games, but we're looking elsewhere, baby. We're watching the coaching hires, right? We're seeing all that kind of stuff. You watching that stuff? Notice there's a name vacant so far. That's not really bubbled up too much. There was some rumors this way or that way. But the Bill Belichick stuff doesn't seem to be moving in any one direction or another. Now, there's still the Washington team, the Commanders, the Commies, as we like to call them. So who knows? Maybe he's still good. But Bill Belichick, imagine this, a year when Bill Belichick isn't a coach. Crazy. Crazy, crazy times. What a wacky world this is, But I guess we had to do it with Don Shula. You had to do it with Tom Landry. Do you guys even know who those guys are? Half of you. Remember the hat? Tom Landry, the hat. What was that? Is that a bowler? Is that a bowler hat? What do we call that? Business hat. So anyway, here we are. Jets fans, this is episode 147 of GreenBean's Jets Pod, and I'm excited. I'm excited to talk some off-season stuff with you guys today. We have some Jets news, so we'll get into some of that today. We have some Joe Douglas, Robert Saleh quotes, which make me laugh, by the way. I'll tell you why in just a moment. Ha, ha, ha. You'll see. I'm going to laugh. Because once again, I am just so sage-like, and it's only because the Jets, I'm definitely not, I don't have the ability to see the future at all. Every now and then I think I might with a weird dream, oh my God, a tree is going to fall. Something like that. I dreamt about it. But with the Jets, you can predict, man. You can predict it because it's happened before. And it just comes around the mountain again. And we do the same things. So we'll get into some of that. We also have some Breece Hall stuff. We lost some coaches. There's some stuff like that. We got some rumors, right? Maybe Woody's back in the news somehow. So we'll talk about that too. And then we have some mock drafts to talk about. And also, did you know that it's Senior Bowl time, which is an exciting time every year, but it's a little bit more exciting of late because talking Jets and the O'Learys, the Ryans, the GreenBean's of the world, also the Jetnations of the world, we have people down at the Senior Bowl now. Like years ago, we were just kind of reading stuff and watching it. Now we have boots on the ground. Last year, I was actually at the Senior Bowl. Was that 2 years ago already? Wow. Was that last year? I don't even remember. So I was at the Senior Bowl in Mobile. I got to hang out with Connor Hughes down there. That was neat. But yeah, we got to bounce her. I think that was last year. Crazy. Seems like it's a hazy thing, the Mobile experience. But we have Dom C going down there. We have Jeremy going down there. They're going to be boots on the ground for us in Mobile. Senior Bowl the whole week, and also Dylan and Dylan Terriman and Glenn Naughton from Jetnation are going to be there. So these are our guys, man. There'll probably be all kinds of other folks, but these are our guys. You know what I mean? There's a little warm hug. So we're going to have lots of inside stuff for you. Now, the other cool thing about Senior Bowl week for us is that it just so happens Jeff Ulbricht is going to be the head coach. Our defensive coordinator is going to be the head coach of the national team at the Senior Bowl. And no other Jets coaches. So it's kind of weird. Like usually it would be like a staff. Now it's all hodgepodgey and weird. And I don't really know the reasoning for that. But hey, here we are. Different takes, different strokes, different folks, the whole thing. So Jeff Ulbricht's going to be down there with Dom C and Jeremy. And they'll be powwowing, I think. We're going to talk to Jeff and see how that goes. But the interesting piece is that we have a lot of really interesting names where the Jets are concerned on Jeff Ulbricht's team. Now, as we are all kind of aware, the Jets have an offensive deficiency. The defense, not so much. Now, we're gonna have to move some pieces around this year. We might lose Bryce Huff, or we got to re-sign him, so there's work to do there. We have some safety stuff. Jordan Whitehead is probably not long for the team. And the reason for that is because he doesn't play very well most of the time. As far as he's not a very short tackler, doesn't wrap his arms. It kind of sucks watching him do that play after play after game after game after year after year. It's just I'm tired of you. But the other guy, Ashton Davis, he's not under contract. So we have some work to do there. But by and large, the defense is very solid and largely intact. And they're an elite defense in their top five in most categories. And the offense doesn't help the defense. So imagine if this defense was playing with a top 10 offense, top 15. It would be crazy. They'd be one of the best defenses ever. But here we are. So the focus has got to be offense. So we send our defensive coordinator down there to put eyes on, in an intimate level, offensive players. What are we going to see? Well, I'll tell you, there's a lot of interesting names. Let's just very quickly talk about some offensive linemen that are going to be on his team. Now, real quick, did you know some of the premier names in quarterbacks are going to be on it? Bo Nix is going to be on his team. Penix is going to be on his team. That's interesting. A lot of years, the premium guys, the guys that are considered first-round picks, they don't really go. A lot of times it's kind of the smattering of other guys trying to kind of have that last positive moment at the Senior Bowl as they head into the combine and draft period. But we have also another guy that a lot of us are liking later. Maybe a little Sam Hartman action, right? What about him? Can he be one of those guys that you grab later and he just ends up being just wills himself to success? Who knows? But he'll be on there. But now, so to focus on the offensive line, listen to these names that are going to be hanging out with Jeff Ulbrich. He'll have a first, first, what am I looking for? He'll have a close-up view. That's what I'm going for, a first-up view. So look, we got, here, let me pull it up here. I don't remember. Cooper Beebe is going to be there. Now, Cooper Beebe is among the top interior guys that is spoken about this year. We also have Isaiah Adams, an interesting tackle prospect. Not first round conversation, but again, we only get one first round pick, man. We got to do some work elsewhere. So he's another interesting one to keep an eye on. Also, Ethan Driscoll out of Marshall is somebody we were just talking about last week. Who else do we have here? Ooh, Kingsley Egwakon, and I don't say that right yet. I'll get there, Egwakun. So we'll see it. Troy Fatanu is going to be there. Another guy a lot of people are talking about. So, hey, interesting to get a close look at him. Fuaga. Right there. Who's not talking about Fuaga? He's a realistic guy to fall to us. Now, we're going to talk about these mock drafts in a little bit. Fuaga's ignored in both of these drafts. So interesting. Let's see how this whole offseason plays out. We'll keep an eye on him at the Senior Bowl. I'm going to ask Dom and Jeremy to get us some real intimate footage with Fuaga. If we can, as best we can, so we can keep a real close eye, a unique perspective on this guy, because he's a realistic option for the New York Jets at pick 10. Another guy, Jordan Morgan. Come on, everybody, dude. Jordan Morgan has realistic potential to shoot up the draft boards. He's kind of hovering, and he's been in first round conversations. He's hovering in that second round conversation by a lot of people right now, and it goes up and down right now. So it is what it is. But keep an eye on Jordan Morgan, another guy that a lot of people like out of Arizona. Secret little gem people are talking about, right? Lots of good guys to take a look at. But particularly our number one, they're calling it the most important subject of the New York Jets going into the offseason. I think that is an accurate statement. We cannot get it twisted, right? We cannot get it twisted. So this whole week, I know Dom C will be jumping on with us for the Thursday Thick of It this week at 8 p.m. Maybe Jeremy as well, but at least Dom, I know, will be with us this Thursday. And we'll have all kinds of content with those guys. It's going to be fun. That's like kind of the, I look at the Senior Bowl as kind of like the opening of the offseason as far as prospects are concerned. When you really start to get to look at guys, yes, we have the Shrine Bowl, which, by the way, one of my early secret little gems, my mid-round steals, doing some fantastic work at the Shrine Bowl. You will hear his name. You might not know him just yet, and whether or not the Jets are going to focus on him, it remains to be seen. I don't think it's likely, but I would love it if in the 4th or 5th round we just kind of pull the trigger on wide receiver out of Virginia, Malik Washington. Take a look. He's small. That's the thing. He's everything that we want little Gibson to be. He's everything, like what we're hoping Gibson can become, Malik Washington is. So just take a look. He's one of my early guys. So anyway, it's fun to watch this stuff, and we'll get into more. But let's talk about some Jets news now. Let's get into this week's news of the week. All right, first up, we have La Confora is out there again, talking some interesting, what he's saying, rumors, but he's saying he's got solid information that Woody Johnson, done with Robert Saleh, lost any shine, any sheen that he walked in the room with in front of Woody Johnson has dulled, has significantly worn off. So the rumor is that Woody Johnson started losing faith and losing really his love for Robert Saleh and his, his sayings and all the stuff that he does around Thanksgiving, right around Thanksgiving. Probably something to do with that Black Friday turd that I was present for, sitting in that stadium, freezing our butts off, watching things like the Fail Mary or the Hell Mary, whatever you guys want to call it. Right around that time, Woody lost his love for Robert Saleh. So there's actually a few things being said via his article, which is that Rodgers is the sole reason that Robert Saleh still has a job. Woody would have made the decision to get rid of him. Now, would he have kind of flushed Joe Douglas down the drain with Robert Saleh? Maybe, maybe not. But Robert Saleh has done enough damage, even though the defense is just among the best in the NFL. The inability to, it doesn't matter, it's a full team. The inability to present a winning team has worn Woody down, and he would have made the decision. But Aaron Rodgers, in his desire to keep the status quo, I came here because of the group of people in the building. That's what I want. The fact that he has expressed that is the reason Robert Saleh is here. Now, maybe it's going to be a good thing, because look, Aaron Rodgers going down 4 plays into the season isn't the best thing to have happened to the Jets. And that was a very, very difficult obstacle to climb over, right? Fair point. And we could blame Joe Douglas for the fact that Zach Wilson was number 2, and even when Aaron Rodgers went down, he didn't really drag his ass getting somebody. But who knows? Robert Saleh could have been saying, we don't need, I want Zach to be the starter. I believe, who knows, right? But you could pass the buck over to Joe Douglas. But that all said, it didn't look good, but you can understand why maybe they do want to just, hey, well, let's push reset on the whole thing. We'll bolster the offensive line. We'll get the old heads like Dwayne Brown and maybe Billy Turner and those guys out of here. And we'll get some real, stellar top flight youth in this joint, and we'll fix that, bolster the wide receiver core a little bit, and we'll be fine. Maybe that's the case. I think it's not that bad of a plan. But that's the saying that Robert Saleh would be gone if it wasn't for Aaron Rodgers. That's pretty damn big news. The other thing is that there's an NFL GM that came out and said that Robert Saleh, this is how he said it, won't make the finish line in 2024. Now, they're basing this on the idea that Rodgers is a year older. He was declining his last year in Green Bay, right? Technically speaking, he was. He had a 3,700-yard season compared to 4,000, and plus in the years prior. Two back-to-back MVPs, followed by a down year, which, by the way, would be the friggin' best we've seen in a long time. We're fine with 3,700. Bring 3,700 yards over here, baby. We're happy with it. But the thought is he was on the decline. He's 40 years old now, coming off an Achilles tear, hasn't played in 2 years. Robert Saleh's, kind of a dead man walking, so to speak, lame duck, maybe a better way to say that. So there's all kinds of damage here. They're saying, dude, Aaron Rodgers can't save you. When the shit starts hitting the fan and we lose a couple in a row and the team starts bitching and complaining, Robert Saleh's out. Now, the interesting thing would be, who are you going to put in there? Is it Ulbricht? Is it somebody offensively? Maybe a Middleton? Who? Sure as shit shouldn't be Hackett. I'll tell you that. So that would be an interesting thing. I hope it's not the case. But there it is, man. The word is Woody's not happy. So what else? The Jets lost 2 coaches in recent weeks. We lost our assistant special teams coach. Michael Gobriel is now the Giants special teams coordinator. So good for him. It's a promotion, right? We don't want to lose guys, but that's kind of the thing. You want to be good enough that people want your assistance. That's the thing. Special teams have been that for us. So, hey, we lost him, and we'll see how he does with the Giants. We also lost a defensive assistant to the Raiders. Ricky Manning is now the Raiders defensive backs coach. The good news is we didn't lose Manuel, our safeties coach, to the Jaguars, who was interviewed for their defensive coordinator job. So that's the positive. But 2 coaches out, and we're trying to find our offensive staff, our running backs coach. We lost out on Deuce Staley, and everybody goes, it's fine, it's good, but that's the guy we wanted. So make no mistake, we lost out on our first choice, Deuce Staley. Went to the Cleveland Browns. Now, who knows how good he is? Well, he's been on 4 different teams for years, so it is what it is. But the Jets wanted him, and they didn't get him. So there's that. Now, we immediately followed that with Tony Dews. All right, Mr. Dews coming from the Titans, following Keith Carter and the crew over here from the Titans. Now, look, Derrick Henry. Right? What are you going to do? I mean, I don't think anybody with Derrick Henry as your guy, you're going to look good. So it's that. But that's it. So we bring in a running backs coach. Word is we're going to hire more coaches. So there's that. Now, Breece Hall was snubbed by the Comeback Player of the Year committee. And I think it's kind of baloney, man. Flacco was in there. Like, what did he take? 4 or 5 games of goodness, and he ate a turd sandwich in the playoffs, and it's like, all right, Comeback Player of the Year, really? Breece Hall came back from an ACL tear, got 1,600 plus all-purpose yards, and just a tick under 1,000 on the ground with an abysmal offense. No offensive line. I mean, that's what a Comeback Player of the Year is. Hey, he didn't get it. Didn't even get considered, which is just baloney, but he's not happy about it. And that means Breece Hall's getting a little bit more fire under the rump, which is nice to see. Hey, we'll pay the dividends, I'm sure, from that, especially if we got some blocking for the guy. Speaking of blocking, AVT has expressed a very, very high level of happiness that we're not going to be going back to play in Denver in the 2024 season. Because as we know, or maybe you don't, that was the field that we lost AVT on 2 years in a row, which is crazy because it's considered one of the best grass fields in the entire league, especially northern. The fact that it's a northern city, what's the whole thing of why most, especially if it's an open air stadium, why they won't put grass is because it's too hard to maintain with the weather and all that jazz. Denver's figured it out. But AVT, no luck on that field. And 2 years ago, we lost AVT and Breece Hall on the same day on that field. So good riddance. I'm with AVT on that one. Get the hell out of here, man. We don't need to see that anymore. If we never play there again, I'll be happy. Bring them over here. Bring them over to our shitty field. Let's lose some of their players on our garbage field. Little payback. So anyway, but there it is. So that is this installment's news of the week. Now, before we get too far away, I just want to point out, so there's been some good interviews, right, with General Manager Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh, and they're talking about some stuff, right? The big saying, Robert Saleh says, you can mope and complain, or you can find the silver linings. Now, I like that. All right. What are we going to do? We're going to sit here and cry. He said his message to the team was that we fully expect to be in a different situation next year. We fully expect to have more wins. We do not expect to lose as many games.
A year from now, that we're in now, we expect to be in something better.
What else are you going to say? Hey, man, we're screwed. I don't know what the hell to do. You're not going to say that. So I think it's par for the course, but you can mope and complain that's a little bit more direct. It's like, everybody that's just whining about this thing, it's not going to get us anywhere. Bitching about this situation, complaining about that, it doesn't create anything positive. So we're not going to spend any time doing it, which is good. Now, the silver linings that he talked about was a lot of the younger players that we didn't expect to have to see as much got a lot of reps, and some of them look like they just might be contributors. He mentioned Xavier Gibson, Joe Tippmann, Jeremy Ruckert, and Carter Warren by name. I think those are all 4 games. He also mentioned Jason Brownlee. Okay. I mean, I don't know I don't think he did enough to like, hey, we don't need to bring in more wide receivers. Gibson either, but I think Gibson obviously had more of an impact. But the point is solid. We have a lot of young guys, and the Ruckerts and Tippmans of the world looked really, really good, in my opinion. Good enough that you can bank on them being solid contributors. Tippmann, I think, should be our center. That's what I think. I think Tippmann is a very, very good center. He showed it last year. He can play guard, so he's got that versatility. So if you can find a better center than you can guard, I get it. But I think Tippmann has shown enough to be considered, like penciled in as our starter heading into training camp. And we'll see where it goes from there. Carter Warren got some reps, looked pretty good at right tackle. Am I not bringing in another guy? Hell no. I'm bringing in lots and lots of beefcake to compete. But anyway, it's nice to know you look like you might have a guy that can be part of it, and that's a positive. So, hey, I'm with Saleh there, but I want to point something out that makes me laugh. Now, at the end of the season, we were all arguing about whether or not to win or lose, and we did the whole thing. We don't have to rehash it, right? We don't have to rehash it. But the positives of losing was higher draft pick. The positive was winning was, hey, no, but a couple things. One is I'm tired of watching losing football. I just want to see some friggin' wins, have some fun. Fair point. The other thing is it's good for the young guys, and it's good for the organization to kind of win out, and that's positive. Great. Okay, so that's the two arguments. What happened is we ended up winning a couple games down the stretch. They were meaningless games, but they were won nonetheless. What was I saying? All through that process, I said we're going to hear two things. We're going to hear it because we've heard it before in some variation or another, in one instance, exactly the same. But I said this week after week. I predicted it. People called me a negative Nelly for the one of them. Oh, you're just one. I'm just telling you. I don't know negative or positive. I'm just telling you, man. I've been around this joint a long time. Now, number one, we heard Robert Saleh say, and you just know Robert Saleh is going to say it because the last guy that said it was very similar to Robert Saleh in the sayings and kind of like motivational players, coach guy, different guys, the way they do it, but very similar in that respect. And it's Robert Saleh and Herm Edwards. Now, both of them, in a losing, disappointing season, won the last game of the year. Herm Edwards came out in his big speech to the team after the win, said, we're 1-0 this year, baby, because it was January, right? That's right. Don't forget it. We are undefeated, baby. That's what he did. I believe we traded Herm Edwards right after that, too, by the way, to the Kansas City Chiefs. But he said it. I said it, man. When we win that game against the Patriots, we're going to hear it all offseason that we're undefeated in 2024. And would you believe it? Would you? Could you imagine? He said it. He said it in the interview with Eric Allen. Here it is.
And so the message was that we're 1-0 in the year 2024.
Yes, to know things. The other one is a little bit more obscure and not a dead ringer. But, I mean, what I said was going to be said is I nailed it to the word, man. To the word. It's not hard to do, but I did it. But it's been done before. It's been done by this guy before. Joe Douglas, when interviewed after the 2019 season, whatever the hell, Adam Gase. The first year with Joe Douglas when we went on a 6-2 run to end the season. Remember that? 6-2. And we still sucked because we were 1-7 or whatever the hell it was. So it was too little too late. But we banked on it. 6-2 down the stretch, lots to build on. And it was like, okay, all right, we're in. We're fine. Fine. That was Adam Gase's first year because the next year he sucked even worse and he got fired. But that's what Joe Douglas was saying. So this year I said it. When they win these games, the battle cry for why it's not as bad as you think is going to be, we won 3 of the last 5 games. And that's shows the grit and the fight and all the stuff, the character of our team, the guys in our locker room. You know, how many times the guys in this locker room? I can't say enough about the guys in this locker room. How many times we hear that, right? It's like it's on replay over and over. Well, take a listen. See what you think. Is it the same?
Proud of the way the guys competed. There's a lot of character on this team. These guys had a lot of opportunity to maybe not finish as strong as they did by winning three of the last 5 games, but they battled and they proved the type of character that's in this locker room.
I don't know. Sounds the same to me, everybody. So there it is. Nice quotes from those guys. I mean, again, I play because what do you want them to say? Of course, they got to find the positives. The truth is that when all the jokes aside, all the feelings aside, the truth is I don't think this team is that far away. I think we have more reason to believe that this can be patched and fixed to a really positive effect. Is that we have more good players on this team than when we used to suck. It was like we were looking around and it's like there's nobody. We're making up guys. He's good. He's kind of good. We got Trenton Cannon and fucking Jordan Jenkins. And you know what I mean? That's what we were doing, man. Jamal Adams. We had Jamal Adams. Yay, for a while. Okay, great. Jamal Adams and Marcus May. We got 2 safeties. Skiddly ding dang. This year, it's not like that. If we do this right and focus, offensive line, wide receiver, you plug in what you need to plug in elsewhere. You get a nice big defensive lineman. You get a safety, those kinds of things. But you focus on O-line and wide receiver. We're going to be good. We need another running back, those kinds of things. Take care of all that. You can take care of all that this year, man. It's not even that big of a job. You just got to mean it and you got to focus and you can't dilly-dally. But let's take a look at one of the ways we're going to do this. So there was a few mock drafts out there. I'll do one. It's kind of a double. So both of these first mock drafts we'll look at real quick are from CBS, right? So one is from Ryan Wilson. The other one is from Chris Trapazzo, right? So one makes sense. The other one makes no sense. And if the Jets did it, I have to admit, I would be furious. All right, let's take a look. So here we are. See? You got Ryan Wilson up here. You got Chris Trapazzo. Now look at the first bunch are very, very standard, and they agree. They agree all the way up to the 5th pick. So you got Caleb Williams up top for the Bears. Drake May going to the Commanders. Jaden Daniels. So 3 straight quarterbacks to the Patriots, right? So they're giving up on Mac Jones, and Gerard Mayo gets his new quarterback. Jaden Daniels, I think he's a very, very, very good quarterback. I think he's dangerous. I don't like it. Marvin Harrison going to the Cardinals makes sense. Here's where they separate a little bit. You got Fashanu going to the Chargers over here, and you got Brock Bowers going over here. Now, I can see either one of these. I really can. I do think the one on the left is more realistically going to take place. That's just what I think. But I would not put it past Harbaugh. By the way, slam dunk up there, Chargers, going with Brock Bowers. And just an elite weapon, versatile, can do so many things for his exciting offense to give to Herbert. I can see it. This one has Joe Alt going right after Fashanu. Makes a ton of sense too. But although I don't think so, the Giants have used 2 first-round picks in the last couple of years on tackles, and I just don't know that that's the way they're going to go. I could see either one, but I don't know. I think this one, this is where it goes off a little bit. But I do think this left-hand side, as far as the Chargers, is more realistic. Now, look, the Titans going Malik Neighbors over here, Fashanu. So it's like the same guys, basically, except Joe Alt. This guy doesn't have Joe Alt going. Now, he has him as a top 5 prospect, and I'll tell you, I have not seen Joe Alt below number 6 anywhere as far as his rating, big board rating. Now, the draft, with the way it falls, is a different story, but he's considered a top 5, at worst, top 10 talent in the draft. So over here, we don't see Joe Alt, but we see Fashanu, Neighbors. Now we start getting into some interesting things. Got Dallas Turner over here for the Falcons, and Byron Murphy over here. I could see that. I can see this. All right, this is making sense. Rome Odunze going to, or Odunze going to the Bears here. So I would give them Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze. This one has the linebacker Latu going over to the Bears here. Interesting. But again, this makes sense to me. This one's making more sense. And then this one gives us J.C. Latham. Why? Because offensive line is our priority, and the 2 guys are gone. Joe Alt and Fashanu are gone. Makes perfect sense. This butthole over here does doesn't make any sense. We still have Joe Alt on the board at 10. And we're going wide receiver. Now, it does not say I don't see wide receiver. We're going wide receiver over offensive tackle, over arguably the number one tackle in the draft. Baloney, ain't happening. And this is merely to get us excited and talking. It goes on from there. But look at where Joe Alt makes it to. 14. So everybody's passing on Joe Alt. Crazy. Now, crazier things have happened, but I don't see it happening in this one. This is a fail. Not happening. If Joe Alt's on the board, we're taking him. Now look at this one over here. We take J.C. Latham. Now, admittedly, Romo Dunze, Neighbors, they're all gone, as is Joe Alt and Fashanu. So that makes sense to me. Now, would I pick Latham? Maybe not. But I would not poo-poo the pick because it makes sense to me. Now, let's take a look at another mock draft. So this one is from PFF, right? So let's take a look, or PFN, Pro Football Network. Let's take a look at their rankings. So again, we're kind of look similar up top, right? Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels. There we go. Marvin Harrison. Everybody's kind of locked in on that right now. So we'll see how that goes. Now they agree that Brock Bowers is the guy going to the Chargers and Malik Neighbors to the Giants. Look at that. Now the Tennessee Titans grab Joe Alt from Notre Dame. See right there at 7. And that's very realistic to me. Okay. I can see the Titans grabbing Joe Alt. That's actually what I think is likely to take place. I don't think Joe Alt's making it to 10, but that's where I think he's going to go. Then you got Dallas Turner going to the Falcons again. But look at this one. The Bears go offensive line right before the Jets. Now, when you sons of bitches who say it doesn't matter to lose out or whatever, this is where it hurts, all right? So we're one slot away from one of the top 2 tackles, potentially the top tackle in the draft. You lose Fashanu to the Bears, and then here we are again going Romo Dunes. Now, here's the thing. While I wouldn't necessarily be upset, especially if Fashanu would alter off the board, but I'm not doing that. I'm going with my next offensive tackle. I'm going there because I think guys like Mims or maybe Lathan, I like Fuaga more. Look at this. There's no Fuaga anywhere. Look at there's Lathan there. There's fucking Fuaga, man. This guy's got everybody. Mims, look at this. Look at all these. Graham Barton, which we like, by the way, going to the Dolphins. Look at this. Sumatia. So you can see, I mean, you know, there's all kinds of thinking on these things, right? But we're going to see lots of movement. But again, getting back to the top of that draft, the idea that the Jets end up with a wide receiver because the guys that you have rated in the same pocket, the same category, that same ranking as the wide receiver are gone. So that leaves you, like if you've identified like a tackle and wide receiver are your biggest needs, you have guys, they're in your top category, you consider blue chippers, right? You got 2 tackles, 2 wide receivers, or 3 wide receivers, whatever. You got a defensive tackle, you got an edge, and you look, your tackles are gone. Well, what do? You go to if you got 3 guys that are on the board in your next in the same category, you look at your need. You go, well, fucking wide receiver. So it's realistic that we lose out on the tackle. That said, I don't think that's going to be the case. I think we're going to take a tackle nonetheless, and that's the way it should be, sons of bitches. So we should not see this. Again, it's going to be real interesting to see how it goes. Guys, we're going to be digging into this in a big way. I want to remind you, the Monday night mock starts February 5th. It's going to be an absolute blast. Dom C, fresh off his trip from the Senior Bowl, will be with me 10 p.m. on Monday night, February 5th. We started again. We go through. It's the only mock draft where you get to make the selections for every single pick that we have. We discuss it. We talk about the pros and cons, but you ultimately make the choice, and we still are mad about it. It's a great time. I hope you can hang out with us. With that all said, guys, have a great week. And as always, go Jets and Ravens and Lions, baby.